There's an old interrogation technique in which the subject is surrounded by many interrogators, and rather than ask him regular questions and try to find out what he has to say, they just shout nonsensical phrases, they ask questions that don't make sense, they say things that do and don't make sense, they yell things, and they surround him for hours and even days on end, just shouting from every side, surrounding him with so much information and so much babble, and he becomes extremely disoriented to the point where he will believe, say, and accept anything. He just is desperate for any sense of reality again. It's very effective. Imagine that playing out at the national level. As we all try to discern truth right now, we're watching the narratives collapse. We're watching everybody's faith deservedly collapse in media, in government, in academia, in scientific institutions, and in medical institutions. And it's very justified. It should collapse because they've been proven to be lying to us again and again. And not just lying and not just wrong, it's clear that their intentions are malicious and that they intend to strip us and are stripping us of our liberty, of our health, and of our wealth. And this has caused us to doubt everything they say, true or false. We just assume it's all false. And so in the absence of any kind of typical reality, we've turned to alternative media and to, of course, conspiracy theory and to ideological movements. The problem there is that the powers that shouldn't be are just as capable of using alternative media. They have their Mockingbird spokesmen and their propaganda outlets on YouTube and on all of these censored and uncensored outlets just as well. They're just as capable of using the right as they are the left. And I would really encourage you to think about that if you're a member of this movement that's named after that 17th letter of the alphabet, thinking that 45 is going to come save you from these people. That this New York lifelong Democrat turned Republican is going to be your savior. What's he done? Has he stopped the First Amendment from being blatantly violated? Has he stopped the communities and our economy from being collapsed and from our jobs being shut down at the point of a policeman's gun? Has he stopped the attacks on the Second Amendment? Has he stopped the bump stock ban? Has he stopped the concentration camps and the violations of the Fifth Amendment as the homeless are thrown into camps against their will indefinitely without charges? Has he stopped any of this? Seems like he's just stripped us of more liberties. And what is that movement encouraging you to do? It's encouraging you to do nothing. That's the point. It's rooted in truth. I'm sure that's the whole point of controlled opposition, isn't it? They say, oh no, people are discovering the truth. We'd better present a narrative that includes that truth, that steers them in a harmless direction. And you are harmless if you're trusting in some plan and you're sitting back and allowing them to strip you of your liberties, of your power, and of your very life and your livelihoods. It's working pretty well, isn't it? And so I would encourage you as you look at everything, even alternative media, even the sources you trust, even the things you want to believe, you can't trust any of it unless you can verify it with your own eyes. And even then, there are things you can't trust your own eyes for. You certainly can't trust videos. You can't trust pictures. So much can be manipulated. But where does that leave us? In the absence of reality and truth, that leaves us in limbo. And that's not a good place to be. How do you have dreams and hopes and aspirations? How do you move forward in life without knowing what the future might even possibly hold? And I would say right now, number one, the course of action is the same no matter what the truth is, which is prepare for the worst. We just don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen right now, but there are very few scenarios that I can envision in which everything returns to a good, stable place. I don't see that really happening very much. So preparing your family and your household, making sure you can heat your home and have transportation and food and water and collect water, getting your seeds ordered and getting compost started and the inputs for your garden. All of this should be done in good times or bad, so it doesn't really matter. So go ahead and take that course of action. Don't worry about the rest, first of all. Second of all, you do need to have people you can trust, and you do need grounding, and you do need faith in something. And so I would actively and consciously seek that out. So build community. That's what community is for, is having a handful of people that you know their intentions, you know their values. Find that tribe. There's a million places to find them. If they're not in your geographical location, search as close as you can, but search. You can go to churches. There are volunteer fire departments, veterans organizations, Rotary clubs, garden clubs. There are a million clubs in a million places where people of like-minded values gather, and you can go and find your tribe. We're in a special time in history where we're rediscovering tribe and community, but unlike other times, you actually get to go pick your folks. It's kind of like picking your own family. It's really cool, and it's very enjoyable and very rewarding, so I encourage you to do that as your second course of action. Third, do not be propagating lies. Don't be spreading things like this. Again, I'm looking at you, those of you in that movement who are spreading what turns out to again and again be false. Like, oh, it's they're going to make the arrest this time for sure, and it never happens. And again, you believe this stuff and you fall for it again and again. I want to believe it too. I would love to think that 45 is going to sweep down like some Deus Ex Machina God and save us all from the powers that are stripping us of everything and building this globalist monstrosity of a totalitarian hellscape. It's not going to happen. It's up to us. It's up to us to stop it in its tracks and to stop it at any cost and by any means necessary. So I encourage you to find your grounding at a more localized level, because I just don't see any way you're going to find anything to trust at the national level. Of course, you do want to consume media. I consume media every day. I watch the national media, I watch alternative media, and I try to maintain sources in military and intelligence and in other countries. For example, when the illness started coming out of China, I had missionary friends over there I was able to contact and ask them about the reality of that. And that was very helpful in discerning my course of action. So do consume all this, but everything with a heavy, never mind a grain of salt, consume everything with a shaker full of salt, because we are in a time of deception, because it is an information war. And by the way, it's turning into a hot war. It's an escalating, very real war. War is not coming, it's here, we're in it. And there is a war on you. Look around you, look at your friends that have lost their jobs. I've lost my employment. It was done at the point of a gun. Police came and shut down the bars. So we are at war. They're stripping us of everything, but I think there's a lot of wars going on. It's not just one side against us. It's also, I think, among the elite of society. They're all dueling for power as we lose our fossil fuels and as we tap out phosphate and all of these crucial resources. We're entering a time where there's just not enough, and you pile a bunch of collapsing supply chains onto that, and weather changes and solar minimums and just all these other factors. It's really a turning point where it's just not sustainable to sustain the kind of society that we are used to or the comforts we're used to. So take the right courses of action. Don't worry too much about what's true or not at the national level. Pay attention, but don't trust any of it. Prepare, find your faith in community, and maybe consider opening that old book and starting to read maybe that last chapter in the Bible, which is increasingly relevant. I came from a fundamentalist Christian background myself, and then kind of had a lot of problems with it and went away from it, and I'm really coming back lately and restudying it with open eyes. And when I see the deceptions at every level and how deep the deception goes down to the academic level, and how we've been propagandized from birth, and how false our scientific institutions have proved to be and how malicious they've proved to be, I'm starting to look to that ancient wisdom again. Because remember, it's a lie when they say that man made God in his own wisdom. Man didn't make God in his image. We made God in the universe's image. Even if you don't believe that the Bible is divinely inspired, if nothing else, it's a bunch of people sitting around for millennia trying to look at natural law and the logos and the truth and see if there's universal truths, and then write that down and see if that's what the personality of God would be. And that's millennia and millennia of that. So don't throw that out so easily. Think about that, because I'm starting to trust that document a lot more than anything else that comes from any other institution. But that's kind of a side point to the rest of this video. Just really prepare your family, build your tribe, build your community, spread truth, speak truth strongly, because it matters how you stand. Be good, be a good person, help others out, build up your community, get other people fed, get other people prepared. That's how we're going to fight this totalitarianism that is gripping our nation and our world. Everybody stay safe, be well, and happy homesteading.